Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabbar here with Jared Smith. Jared officially has his setup in Vegas. How does it feel, Jared? You have internet. It's like official now, I feel like.
I'll be honest, nothing starts with a move in until you get internet these days, especially for someone like me that works from home. Obviously, we rely on so much here in the home digs, but everything is set up. And I had my first big time Vegas meal last night as a resident here. My cousin, ironically enough, was in town. I went to Joe's Stone Crabs down at Caesar's Palace. It was my first time too, and you guys ridiculed me on our pre-show.
You grew up in Florida, and that was your first time at Joe's.
To be fair, I grew up in Florida. I moved away when I was 14. So I don't remember going to Joe's in my early years, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe I did go. I don't remember it. So does it really count if you don't remember eating the food? Let's leave it at this. My modern palate, which has evolved a lot since my early years, was very pleased last night with Joe's. If you've never been, tremendous. The stone crabs, the king crabs, the steak, the fried chicken. Mwah. Oh, so satisfying. So satisfying.
I'm so glad that you had your first good Vegas meal. Just basically bringing you into the area.
Yes.
Helping you. I don't even know the word I'm looking for. There's like a word on the tip of my tongue.
Lubricating me to the desert. I'm lubricating myself to the desert with some good food.
Ew. I hate that word. But anyways,
why?
We have a lot to talk about today. First of all, I just want to make a quick comment about Serena Williams announcing officially her retirement in Vogue.
Yeah.
After the U.S. Open. It's her last dance. She's going to be done. She's about to be 41 years old. They said they want to have another baby. She needs to put her family first. So the GOAT, I hope she's able to get it done. She's 23-time Grand Slam champion. She's literally the greatest of all time. It's going to be really exciting to watch her one final time for one final dance. So congrats to Serena officially announcing her retirement. Lots to get into today, too, with the show. We have our Better Up segment. Lots of MLBs going on today. Then we have the first week of the FedEx Cup Championship. We're bringing on Diane Knox Balas. She is our golf whiz, our PGA whiz. She has a lot of bets that are on her card today. And then we've been breaking down college football, NFL before the season starts today. We get into a conference that is near and dear to our hearts. Big Ten predictions, okay? Because we got a lot to say about a lot with some of those teams. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's bet it. We always start our MLB segment out with, is the trend your friend? I have 5 trends today. A little bit more than normal. So we'll go through them. We'll go through them quickly. I swear. First one, Phillies versus Marlins. The Phillies 9-0 and the last 9 is favorites, and they're facing Alcantara today.
Facing Alcantara today. Who is on the mound for Philly? Oh, it's Noah Syndergaard day for the Phillies. So I'm assuming Syndergaard has a lot of numbers against this Phillies team, or since this Marlins team, because he pitched for the Mets for all these years. Let me look up. What his numbers are against the Marlins. Pretty decent. 57 plate appearances, 226 batting average, 271 WOBA. Okay. I can get behind that one. Because the Marlins are on just life support right now offensively. Syndergaard's numbers against Miami, pretty decent throughout his career. Again, he pitched for the Mets for all those years, so you would assume he's got a pretty decent sample against some of them. And Alcantara has been, I don't want to say a fade, but I think his best stuff, and at this stage of the season, most guys that had really good first halves, their best stuff is definitely behind them. So, we'll friend this one.
Nice. We have a friend. All right, next one. Dodgers versus Twins. 9-game winning streak for the Dodgers over their last 9 games.
Yeah, I was looking. So I will be on this game later. You can't fade the Dodgers
at this point, especially against the Twins.
Absolutely not. I will be on this game later. I think we have 2 friends. Ryan, so Sonny Gray against the Dodgers today. And Gray, again, pitched in the National League for a number of years. So he's got a pretty decent sample size against this Dodgers lineup, 240 batting average against. They're facing a rookie, Ryan Pepiot. and we'll talk about him a little later during our play of the day. But this kid's come on the scene with some fire, and he's never obviously he's a rookie. He's never faced anyone on the Twins before. So yeah, I think the Dodgers now, you're probably laying a heavy penny for this baby. But I would bet the Dodgers today.
We
Let's see
have
what the
two
money line
friends,
is.
baby. Two
-165.
friends.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, number 3, A's versus Angels under. The under is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings between these two teams in Oakland.
A's, Angels under. If I recall, the Angels were part of the trend brigade yesterday. I don't remember how that worked out. So unique situation today. Touki Toussaint. You might remember him from his time with Braves. He is pitching for the Angels today. Paul Blackburn goes against the Halos. Blackburn's been kind of down after a really good first half. He was actually the most profitable pitcher in baseball the first half of the season. Now he's kind of been on the shit brigade of late. There's really nothing in the numbers here, so you're kind of betting on whether you think Toussaint in his first start of the year, by the way, is going to be able to pitch well. That ballpark leads me to unders. So yeah, I'll friend this trend too.
You're 3 friends, baby. Okay, number 4. Cubs Nats under. The Cubs 9-1 to the under in their last 10 against the NL.
Yeah. So here's why I don't like this under right out of the gate. It's Josiah Gray, who is just gas can city. Justin Steele goes for the Cubs. And he doesn't really have any sample size against the Nats. He's only had 3 at-bats. So, yeah, let's see what the price is. That obviously matters here. Nats, Cubs. The game's at Wrigley, so check the wind. I don't know. I don't have the forecast in front of me. LJ might be able to tell me with some Doppler
I didn't check the Doppler radar this morning. I'm just providing the trends, Jared, okay?
That's fair. Well, we've got to talk through these because we can't just be betting on the trend. There has to be some other reason to bet it. 7.5 seems low. I'm guessing the wind is in at Wrigley today. Let's take a look. Wind conditions at Wrigley. See, this is what happens when you give me these on the spot and I can't prep them. I have to look them up while we're doing the show.
I know. It's supposed to be a quick cap, Jared. Quick cap.
No, listen, I'm not just gonna give shit out. We gotta figure out this smartly here. It doesn't really look like the wind's a factor. So yeah, sure. I'll back the trend. 4 for 4. Let's go.
4 for 4 today. Last and final trend. Braves versus Red Sox, the Yurfie. Yes, runs first inning. Braves 6 for the Yurfie in their last 6 at Fenway.
See, when you give me a Yurfie trend, I have my sheet right here. I don't have to look anything up. It's all right here for me.
Perfect.
All right, Braves, Red Sox, Yurfie. Kyle Wright, pretty average on the road this year, but really good Yurfie numbers overall. 29-6 since 2019. And Nick Pivetta has been a gas can. So you got Kyle Wright on the road. You've got Pivetta, who's been awful. 6-0 at Yurfie. I mean, but here's the thing about that trend. It goes back to God knows when because it's interleague. So it's tough to say that happened this year. Obviously, they scored last night because the trend continued. Yeah, I would back it. Even though my sheet's kind of flashing red. A perfect 5 for 5. I'll give you your perfect day. Can we keep track of these to see how we do? Like, honestly, like I keep track of so much shit.
Batting 1,000.
Track of these?
Batting 1,000. Speaking of the Yurfies and Nerfies, yesterday, yes runs first inning, went 9-7. The longest current streak right now is St. Louis. 6 straight yes run first innings. They are at Coors Field tonight. Ha ha ha, as you like to put in the Google Doc. I know that you have a Nerfie coming up for your best bet of the day, but you do have a walk this way parlay. I have 2 strikeout props. One of them I'm saving for my best bet of the day. Can I go through my Justin Verlander strikeout prop that I have today?
Your world. I'm just living in it. You do what you got to do.
Everything's bigger in Texas is what they say, including Justin Verlander's strikeout total for today. Set at 7.5. I like the over here at -128. I'm laying 28 cents for it. This guy has been phenomenal over his last 7 games. He's the front runner for the AL Cy Young right now. Pitched to a 7-0 record over his last 7 starts. 0.76 ERA, 0.80 whip, and 0.4 home runs per 9 innings pitched over his last 47 and 2/3 innings pitched. during his last 7 starts. He also has the Rangers number at this point over his last 2 starts against them. He's only allowed 1 run on 13 innings pitched, and he's generated a 16-0 strikeout to walk ratio during that time. That's pretty good last time I checked. He's also been great at home this season. 7-1 record at home, 1.93 ERA, 1.04 whip, and 0.6 home runs per 9 innings pitched over 56 innings at home this season. Now you look at Texas and their numbers. They're averaging 8.79 strikeouts per game right now throughout the 2022 season. Now over their last 3 games, averaging 9.33. The last game they played, they punched out 10 times in that last game. So 7.5, I know it's a high number. I trust Justin Verlander. I trust his stuff. I trust his command, and only laying 28 cents for it. Give me JV over 7.5 strikeouts at home tonight against the Texas Rangers. We have to get into your walk this way parlay because we want to walk this way into some money.
Yeah, we walked this way into a winner last night. We hit an under too. And I was watching, so I was at the book at Caesar before we went to Joe's. And I was watching that Padres-Giants game, and Logan Webb was hanging by a thread. He walked 2 in the first 3 innings, and then he made it through the last 3+, 2+. I think he got pulled in the 6th without walking anyone. So we hit last night. I posted the ROI and the numbers this morning. I mean, we've been betting these almost every day for about 2 months, and we've got a 40% ROI on the Walk This Way parlay, only betting a half a unit per. And being very disciplined. So listen, you can make money if you bet smartly with parlays. They're not all sucker bets. If you parlay, just like we talked about yesterday with Lauren's division parlay with the Bucs and the Bills. If you parlay plus EV bets together, that is not a bad bet. But parlays obviously have a real volatile or maybe a lightning rod opinion in the betting industry. But let's start today. Brand new day, fresh start. Nestor Cortez over 1.5 plus money on this baby, plus 115. So he's got a 45% hit rate on the season, 9 out of 20, which equates to about plus 120 odds. So we're kind of right in the vicinity of where we want the value to be. I'd like it to be a little higher, maybe plus 120, plus 125. I'd feel really good about this. But I think it's still playable at plus 115 because Cortez trending down with his control. He's gone over in 6 of his last 11 starts after staying under in 3 or in 6 of his first 9. So again, trending in the right direction, 9 of 20 overall for the season. And it's really the lefty starters against the Mariners that really makes me like this bet. And I think that's why we're getting a little bit of value here. 16 of the last 25 lefties have gone over 1.5 against the Mariners. That's well over 50%. And again, we're getting plus money on that. So I feel like we're on the right side of the coin here. And Seattle overall, highest walk rate in the majors against lefties this season at almost 11%. I'll give you Jose Barrios, our juice bomb of the day, over a half. We only need 1 walk here at minus 245. And again, I know we bet these and they're juicy, and you're like, Jared, minus 245, that's too much to bet, too much juice. It's not if you consider what the true odds of this bet should be, at least in my opinion, at least what the numbers are telling me. 86% hit rate on the season, 75% if you include last season. That's 53 starts of sample size. He's gone over in 40 of them. That is equivalent to minus 308 odds. And again, we're only paying minus 245 for this bet. So there's that cushion right there. Now let's look at the lineup. Well, 21 of the last 25 right-handed starters have walked at least 1 batter against the Orioles at Camden Yards this season. That equates to minus 524 odds, 84%. So again, everything about this bet is telling me 80% hit rate. That is minus 400 odds, and we're only paying minus 245 for this bet. So I feel great about it, even though it's juicy. Chris Bubik, over 1.5. That's the last leg of the parlay. Minus 105 for this one, so pretty fairly priced. 72% hit rate on the season, 68% if you include last year. Again, that equates to over minus 200 odds, and we're only laying 5 cents for this bet. There you see that nice little cushion of value. Now, the White Sox lineup is not good against righties. Luckily, Bubic is a lefty, and I love the White Sox against lefties. It's always a handicap that we look at. 15 of the last 25 lefty starters over 1.5, and the White Sox have the 4th highest walk rate against lefties in the last 30 days at over 10%. So Cortez, Barrios, Bubic, overs, all of them 1.5 on Bubic, and Cortez over a hook for Barrios. Plus 491 for this baby. See if we can make it 2 in a row.
Love that, Jared. Absolutely love it. Basically 5-1 odds as we walk this way into the PGA. Let's bring in Diane Knox Balas. We have the first weekend of the FedEx Cup, the St. Jude Championship. This is going to be exciting because obviously, Diane, you capped last week. Guys are trying to earn their berth into the FedEx Cup. It's locked in now. The field is locked and loaded. The St. Jude Championship ready to go. Before we get in to the tournament this weekend, I want to get your thoughts on the ongoing situation right now of the PGA trying to keep live golfers out of the FedEx Cup playoffs and them hiring lawyers and things going on. It's drama. What are our thoughts about it, first of all? And how are you?
Everyone loves drama.
Happy Wednesday.
First of all, Lauren, you've had a lot of coffee this morning, clearly, and we're seeing Vegas Jared. It's like new guys. I love it.
Vegas Jared. Oh, I love that name. That's a great name. I'm coining that. Vegas Jared.
Oh.
Not Vegas Dave,
Well, I'm
thank
great.
God.
Thank you for asking. I'm great. I'm excited for playoffs. And the live drama. Obviously, yesterday we had. Did your sign just fall off the wall?
It did. It did just fall off the wall. We're just going to keep doing the show like it didn't happen.
Yeah,
we're just going to keep doing the show like it never happened.
Yeah, we're professionals. So yesterday was the first time that the battle between PGA Tour and Live Golf had appeared in court, because we had 3 players, Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford, who were seeking a temporary restraining order, which would allow them to play in the FedEx Cup playoffs. I heard that even as the court proceedings were beginning, Hudson Swafford was flying into Memphis. I hope he had a flexible return flight because they were denied. And I haven't really given my opinion. I haven't really talked about this publicly, but I'm happy that the PGA Tour won this. And I'm happy that they weren't allowed to play, because I think it would have been wholly unfair for them to, the phrase that keeps getting bandied around is have their cake and eat it. They signed for a significant amount of money. And yesterday, as part of the proceedings, it came out that they've already all made more money than they made entire PGA Tour careers. So wow. I didn't think that they should be allowed to compete, and I am happy overall with the decision. But this is the first in a very long-winded legal battle. This is going to rage on for a long, long time. So, the first round, I guess, was won by the PGA Tour, but it brought up a lot of extra stuff. I think that's going to add some fuel to the fire on both sides, and we're just going to have to watch with bated breath as it unfolds, probably over the next few years.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. I'll be honest. I hope it won't. I think that's been the biggest takeaway for me, Diane. Like, none of this stuff is taken away from what we've seen on the course over the last month, 2 months. We've been dealing with all this. So that's great. And we've got such an exciting tournament this week. Take me through TPC Southwind first before we get into your picks, because this course has not hosted a FedEx Cup playoff event. So that's pretty exciting for a TPC course. What do we got here at Southwind?
Well, what's interesting is this may be the first time it's hosted a FedEx Cup playoff event. However, it's hosted the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational for the last 3 years. And before that, the Memphis Open. So it's well known on tour. Yeah. And it's I think a lot of guys are really going to enjoy playing this week. Looking at the past winners of the WGC, Abraham Answer, not playing, he's at Live. Brooks Koepka, not playing, he's at Live. Justin Thomas has won on this course as well. And it's a par 70, 7,243 yards. When I look back at the past winners and the stats that they seem to have in common, scrambling, greens in regulation, approach, and accuracy. So I kind of took that into account. Great iron play is going to be needed this week. The greens are pretty easy. I mean, I think we saw the lowest number of 3 putts last season in this tournament. So the greens aren't going to cause too many problems. The water hazards, this was the tournament last year where we saw the most balls in the water. It was like just shy of 6,000. So it's... Wow. Yeah, that's since 2003, but it's the most balls in the water in any tournament since 2003 when they started recording all of this. So it's crazy. Last year on the 11th hole, similar to the 17th at TPC Sawgrass with the Island Green, Siwoo Kim recorded a 13 and handled it like a champ. And then also last year, we saw a playoff before Answer One with Sam Burns and Hideki Matsuyama, and Cam Smith almost had his place in that playoff, but he just blasted his tee shot on 18. It ended up in someone's yard. I think it was a second shot ended up in someone's yard, and he ended up finishing in a tie for fifth. But a lot of eyes on Cam Smith this week. One, because he played well here last year and he's sitting second in the standings, but also because there's all these rumors surrounding him going to live. So there's a lot going on this week. But I love playoff time.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun.
Cam Smith blasting that drive or whatever shot it was into someone's yard, that reminds me a lot of my golf game. So brings me back to my
You used that joke recently. You can't use that joke twice in the same week.
I can. It's been like 2 weeks apart. So you know what?
I can and I will.
Thank
Damn
you
it.
very much. I can and I will. Someone that's been red hot recently, Tony Finau, and you've been red hot picking him as an outrighter, won the last 2 tournaments he's played in. He won this tournament in 2021, but it was a different course. Is there value on taking him here at 20-1 odds to win his 3rd straight tournament? He's kind of proven that he can, win in high profile situations and high stakes situations. But I know it was a different course that he won on in the first round of the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and that was a big win for him because he had won one event on the PGA Tour before, but it was one of these kind of lesser field events, and that one had been hanging over him. So for him to come out, and he was sitting at number 23 in the FedEx Cup standings last year when he won that, and that propelled him all the way to number 1 because it's quadruple points. It's really important to note that this week, that all the points are quadrupled. So instead of the winner getting 500 FedEx Cup points, they get 2,000. So we're going to see a huge amount of movement and volatility as guys fight for their place to get into the top 70. But yeah, Tony Finau, imagine he went 3 in a row. That would be unbelievable. Absurd, you're right. That's a great word to describe it. But he's playing so well. And at 20-1, really hard to overlook that. I didn't pick him this week only because the 3 in a row thing, I'm like, when is the last time we saw that? I mean, we saw Patrick Cantlay win 2 in a row last year. 2019, Brendan Todd did 2 in a row, but that's how rare that is. So 3 in a row would be outstanding. But as you say, he's playing great.
Yeah, I think the price probably came down on him now to a point. And that's another thing to keep in mind this week too, Diane. That less players in the field makes it a little, I think, more challenging, frankly, because the prices get decreased on a lot of these guys. A lot of these long shots that we've got maybe are a little bit cheaper. We're not getting as good of a price as we would if there was 200 players in the field, compared to just the 125 or, the normal amount that we have. So, all right, let's look at your picks here. Rory, Burns, Wise, Pendrith. I'll let you pick who you want to talk about first. I'm assuming Rory is the guy at the top of your card. But man, oh man, you've got some juicy ones. A couple of 75, 95. I mean, you got some guys on this list that may be going to make us some pretty coin here down at the bottom of the board.
You're right in saying that the guys at the top of the board, their odds are lower this week for sure. Yeah. We haven't seen the likes of Scheffler and Cam Smith and Rory and Xander, all these guys kind of play since the Open Championship. They took a nice break to get ready for these 3 rounds of the playoffs. But what that means is some of the guys that are a little bit further down, their odds are inflated. And that's what I really found. I'll move on to Sam Burns in a minute because I was really surprised to get him at the odds I found him at. But I'm picking Rory. I have to pick Rory because he's had a good season. He's had 2 wins. He's had like a ridiculous amount of top 10s. He's finished top 8 in all 4 of the majors this year. But he will not be content with his season until he wins a big one. And this is the only one left for him to win the FedEx Cup and the 18 million that goes with that. So Rory's my pick to win the FedEx Cup overall. He's sitting at number 6 in the standings right now. So 11-1 this week. I had to pick Rory. He finished T4 here in 2019. That's 62 on the Saturday. So I have to pick Rory. There's no way I could leave him off because I've been so big on him all season. But my Sam Burns at 34-1. Those are the odds that really jumped out. And I didn't expect him to be anywhere near that. I thought he would be in the 20s for sure. But I mean, he lost in the playoff here last year at this course in the WGC.
Wow.
And I mean, he had a great week. His Saturday round let him down a little bit, but 3 wins and 8 top 10s this season. He's so solid. He's such a solid ball striker, great iron player, 3rd in the FedEx Cup standings. He's 10th in putting, 13th in approach, 10th in total strokes gained this season. His stats are amazing. He's a big pick for me this week. Obviously we have course history with Sam Burns and we have incredible form. So I loved those odds at 34-1. So there's no way I was leaving him off. You mentioned my other 2 guys are actually higher. Aaron Wise, 75-1. Because I love iron play around this course. He's one of the best iron players on tour. And he's 27th in the FedEx Cup standings, which means that even without a win, that 2nd place finish at Memorial, but he's having a great season. And that really shows you where he's at. He's going to be aiming for top 30, Tour Championship at Eastlake and all the benefits that come with that. But he finished T13 last week. He was 2nd off the tee. He avoided every single hazard on the course last week. There was no bunker stats for him because he wasn't in a bunker. So with the water hazard, I know, crazy. That just shows that his precision. So I like him. I also like him for a top 10 at plus 600. So I'm going to put them both on my card this week. And then I always like to give you a high odd guy. And
we need the underdog. Yes.
The Diane's dark horse. That's what you're known for.
This is the one that got me excited this week. Taylor Pendrith, 95-1. I talked about him a little while ago because he, after the Players' Championship, finished just outside the top 10 and found out he had a broken rib. So couldn't play for like 4 months. He was going to make his comeback at his National Open, the RBC Canadian Open, and then he got COVID. So this whole thing was derailed for him. But in the last 4 starts since he's come back, he's finished top 13 in every one of those, which is, for a guy that's missed so much competitive golf this year, that shows where he's at. Huge hitter, very underrated big hitter, but excellent iron play, 6th in greens and reg for the season. And bearing in mind he missed all that golf, for him to be sitting in the top 10 for greens and reg is just amazing. Last week he was 9th tee to green, 8th in scrambling, which is another big stat here this week. So number 60 in the FedEx Cup standings. So in a great position to really get into that top 70 and make some big moves. Taylor Pendrith, he is a name to watch out for on the PGA Tour, and 95-1 this week.
Mark Diane's words right here, right now. Taylor Pendrith, baby, 95-1. I know you said you have Aaron Wise top 10. The other one that you have that I'm looking at, Cameron Young, top 5 at 6-1 odds. You were confident on this one too. What stands out to you about Cameron Young?
Everything about it. I know Jared is a huge fan of Cameron Young as well. But
licking my chops on this bet. 6-1, love it. 6-1, absolutely love it.
I know. Phenomenal season. He's had 5 runner-up finishes this year. He's gonna win at some point. Yeah. He's definitely going to be Rookie of the Year. I mean, I would say that. Oh yeah. Especially after his runner-up finish at the Open. Number 9 in the FedEx Cup standings. So again, getting into that top 30 at Eastlake really locks you up for the Masters next year. You get your place in the majors, the WGCs. It's just a huge thing, not to mention the money that you'll walk away with for getting into the top 30. So,
just the money, all those millions of dollars, no big deal.
Because everyone's so obsessed with all this money in golf right now. But yeah, Cameron Young, top 5, 6-1, was all in on that. And then I think it's important to look at someone like JT Poston. And we had him as one of our winners. I picked him as an outright for the John Deere that he won not long ago. Second place at the Travelers, just outside the top 10 at the 3M Open as well. And then had a good week last week at the Wyndham. But he's so, again, great iron player. And I got him for the top 10 at plus 700. So I like that. Again, somebody who is looking to go all the way and get that place in the Tour Championship top 30. So he's gained almost 4 strokes in approach over his last 5 events and 4 strokes on the greens as well. So what an amazing time for your game to be trending that way. You've just got a win. You're putting together really solid finishes, and now you're heading into the playoffs in great form.
Diane Knox Balas, our PGA sharp, as we head into the first weekend of the FedEx Cup. Thank you so much for coming on, St. Jude Championship.
Great job, Diane.
And looking forward to chatting with you next week about, fingers crossed, hopefully another winner for you. Let's make it happen, Diane. Have a great week.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week, too. Bye.
Diane's picks were so hot, they peeled my photo right off the wall. That's how picks were. So spicy.
Honestly, Jared, it's live. We're live, baby.
Listen, what can I do? You know, it is what it is.
Seriously, though, at this point, we just go along with it. Make it happen.
Oh, no, at this point,
speaking of
it's part of the show.
Yeah, speaking of making it happen, teams that we want to see make it happen this season, Michigan and Penn State. Let's get into some college football. Big Ten, much like last year, this season is between Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State gets an ND and Michigan at home this year. And the Big Ten East is reigning supreme. They've won every Big Ten championship since the divisions were created back in 2014. Pretty crazy. Just saying.
That's a joke. Can we really, honestly, that is a joke. The Big Ten West has never won the Big Ten championship. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. Fun fact
those divisions are the dumbest thing in all of football. They are so dumb. It's just so stupid. Sorry,
Tell me how you
over.
really
I'm
feel,
very passionate
Jared.
about the Big Ten division. So unbalanced.
Tell me how you really feel. Well, actually, I want you to tell me how you really feel about Penn State, because they were left out of the AP coaches poll. I know you said the poll doesn't matter. Right now, their win total is set at 8-5. They're way more talented than their 11 record over the last 2 years. Don't you agree?
Yeah. So, you ever seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? The points don't matter.
Of course. I used to love that show, actually. I used to love that show.
Me too. It is hilarious. I love all things improv comedy. But that's how I feel about the rankings. The rankings don't matter, especially at this stage when we literally have not seen one snap of anything. And preseason in college football, unlike preseason training camp in the NFL, you don't get a lot of information. You don't get training camp reports, injury reports. We have no idea if this team is looking at this guy during 11-on-11 drills, et cetera, et cetera. It's all closed for the most part. So very difficult to really gauge anything at this stage. But that being said, when you look at win totals and you compare them to how many games a team will be favored in, and you compare them to other opponent win totals that they're facing, you can start to figure out a theme here. And it looks like on paper that Penn State is a little bit undervalued based off of prior win totals and based off of their current win total. But I think it's a fair price because when I'm looking at this schedule, I see a loss against Ohio State. I see a loss at Michigan. And I see a really tough game in week 3 at Auburn. And they're going to be underdogs likely in all 3 of those games. And that means right there, that's 9-3. So their win total is 8.5. So you're telling me that they're going to be underdogs in 3 of their 12 games. They need to win 9 games for you to hit your bet. That means they need to every single game they're supposed to the rest of the year that they're going to be favored in, most likely the other 8.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, the other 9. So that's tough because what do we know about college football, especially Big Ten and, teams that aren't like the elite
volatile
upsets. So you're telling me that Penn State's going to be likely favored in 9 games this year and they have to win all 9 of them to hit this win total? That's a little too thin of a margin for me. So I'll pass on Penn State.
Here's the thing I will say. I don't like their win total. I think they're going to be better than people think they are this season. Sean Clifford returning for them is obviously huge. He got much better as the season went on last year. I think he threw for like 3,100 yards, something around 20 plus touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And also, fun fact for you, Jared, I love it. Fun fact for you, he has the same offensive coordinator for consecutive seasons in the first time in his career. Defensively, they should be pretty solid.
That is big.
The D-line and secondary was really good. And running the ball is where they need to improve. They ranked 118th last year in terms of running the ball. Injuries and a bad O-line can do that to you. This year, they have Nick Singleton, Kayvon Lee. The O-line needs to be able to protect Clifford to be able to have some, solid results this season and also open up some holes for the running backs. If so, I think they're going to be pretty competitive. Another team, as we head west to the Big Ten West, which maybe they have a chance of winning the Big Ten this year. I don't think so, but they could be a good outside pick at 11-1 odds, is Wisconsin. They have a pretty favorable schedule. Besides traveling to Ohio State, things level out after that. And, during the last couple of months to finish out the Big Ten season, it's which teams can perform at those frigid, cold temperatures. The game that kind of works into that is running the ball and stopping the run. And Wisconsin is really good at both of them. Both their running backs, including Braylon Allen, are coming back this season, right? And they have a top-tier O-line to go along with their defense. Last year, they were really good at stopping the rush. They ranked first overall in the Big Ten in rushing defense and total defense last season. Pretty good, right? Do you think that they could be a solid outside pick to maybe win the Big Ten at 11-1?
Absolutely not. What did you just say? No team from the West has ever won the Big Ten championship. Why would you make that bet? Honestly, if you are betting on a team not from the East to win the Big Ten, you are making a wager on something that has never happened before.
Yep.
Now, obviously, things happen in sports all the time that have never happened before, but it's our job as gamblers to try to bet on things that we think will happen. It's very hard to predict things that have never happened before. That's literally the toughest thing to do, I think, in our profession. I will say this, the win total here at 8.5, unlike Penn State, that has to face a very tough Eastern Division schedule. Wisconsin gets the soft cupcake division schedule. They also open with 3 home games against Illinois State, Washington State, New Mexico State. They will be 3-0. Then they go to the Horseshoe on the 24th of September to face Ohio State. Obviously, they're going to be probably 10-point or more underdogs in that game. The rest of their schedule, with the exception of a game at Michigan State and at Iowa, they will be favored pretty significantly in the rest of them. And I think the win total for Wisconsin at 8.5 seems fair. I'm not betting it, but I think it seems fair. I think it's a fair over. I think 9 wins is the floor for this team based off of what I'm looking at. I see a loss at Ohio State, and let's say they lose their other toss-up games at Michigan State, at Iowa. They should run through the rest of the schedule and win 9 games comfortably. And they could beat Michigan State on the road. They could absolutely beat Iowa on the road. So they might even win one of those toss-up games, especially the one at Iowa, who they played well against in recent years. So over 9.5, over 8.5 wins, I think, for Wisconsin is a fair bet to make.
I know a team that you like their win total, Michigan. Right now, they're 6-1 to win the Big Ten. Their win total is 7.5, but they have a pretty good cakewalk of a non-conference schedule. They're looking for their second straight appearance in the Big Ten championship game. They're returning 13 starters this season, but obviously Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo, Daxton Hill, losing those guys, that's kind of a blow to your team a little bit, but they also have new coordinators on both sides of the ball. The O-line, this is what I'm confident in, is returning most of their players. They'd won the Joe Moore Award last year for best O-line in the nation. I could see them maybe going over this win total set at 9.5. You said you feel very confident about this at this point.
I mean, listen, they are going to be favored in every game they play this season except at Ohio State. You want to make a toss-up, Michigan State, they're at home in that game. I think that's huge, and you've been a part of that rivalry for years. The home team, that's a big home field edge in that Michigan State game, and I'm not very high on Michigan State anyways. I don't see why they're not a 10-win team minimum. I don't see them losing 3 games. Where are the 3 losses? They open Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn, Maryland at home. They're going to be double-digit favorites in all 4 of those games. Then they go to Iowa on October 1st. They're going to be favored in that game, but it's probably going to be a tighter, maybe 3 or 2.5. then Indiana, Penn State at home, Michigan State at home, Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois. I mean, where are there 3 losses on this schedule for you to lose this bet at 9-3?
There's not.
I don't.
There's not.
I don't see it. Over 9.5 wins.
Not.
I think, honestly, I'm going to get to the window on this. I haven't gotten there yet, but we talked about it during the pre-show. I think I'm going to get to the window on this. It's going to pain me to root for Michigan all year, but I think I'm going to get to the window on this.
I love having Jared on my side for this season because last year you were so against me, so it's nice to have you on my side this year.
Yes, I was.
Okay, what about Ohio State? Their win total right now is set at 1.5. They have a 68.25% win probability to win the Big Ten last time I checked. That's pretty good. They're the team to beat this season. They returned 14 starters, including C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith, Trayvon Henderson, the best quarterback, wide receiver, running back trio in the country, in my opinion. Their issue last year, Jared, was not being able to be physical enough on the defensive front. They struggled against teams like Oregon, Michigan, Utah, Minnesota early in the season. They got pushed around in the trenches. That's why Ryan Day went out this offseason, got Jim Knowles, who did wonders for Oklahoma State's defense over the last couple of years. He needs to inject that physicality into their veins, and if they do, they're going to win the Big Ten championship, and they have a really good chance of winning the whole thing at that point.
Totally agree. Their win total is 10.5. That means they have to go 11-1. They'll be favored in all 12 games. Period. End of story. They will be favored in all 12 games that they play this year. That doesn't mean that they're going to win all 12 games, but they will be favored in all 12 games. So here's how I'm playing Ohio State. We've discussed it before. I wrote a column about it. I bet it in Vegas. I bet it again when I got back from Vegas a few weeks ago. And I think it's the way to play it. It's a similar way to what you did with the Bucks and the Bills. You take 2 bets that are clearly plus EV, that are clearly bets that are you're going to get both of these teams in these games. And then we'll see you in December and we'll figure out how we want to play it in December. But I have zero doubt in my mind, maybe a little bit of doubt with Ohio State, just in case Michigan bites them. But I like the fact that Ohio State gets Michigan at home. And they're coming off of a loss in a revenge game last year. You all know what happened at the Big House last year. So I think Ohio State.
What happened at the Big House last year, Jared? Please tell me, enlighten me.
I was on. Listen, we bet Michigan in that game. We did. We did bet Michigan in that game. Go back and watch the tape.
Yeah, I know.
So you're not going to hear any chirping from me with the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. I was on Michigan last year. But again, this is a different year. And I think Ohio State, is a little more better equipped to handle some of the physicality, maybe, as you mentioned, with that Michigan will bring to the table in that game. But regardless, Michigan might lose a game even before then anyways, and that last game might not matter in terms of who goes to the Big Ten championship, because the bet here is Ohio State to win the Big Ten conference championship game, parlayed with Alabama to win the SEC conference championship game. You get plus 147. Right now, you can make this bet on DraftKings at plus 147. This is a bet that will keep you invested in the 2 best teams in the country all season long. I have 2 units on this bet, right at around this price. And if we do, assuming, get to Ohio State and Alabama in their respective conference championship games, they will both be favored in that game, which means you can come back on the other side. You can bet Georgia, whoever it is, plus 7 or plus 3. You could bet Nebraska or Illinois or Wisconsin plus $1 million in the Big Ten championship game, whatever the line will be in that game. And you could try to middle it, or you could bet the money line, or you could just let it ride because this is a good bet and I think it's going to hit. This is the only way I think it's plus EV, quote unquote, to play Ohio State in the futures market this year, is you parlay it with another plus EV conference championship bet, and you wait until December, whenever the game is, and we'll see you on championship Saturday.
I like it. I really do. I'm actually, I want to bet this so bad, but I also want to root for Michigan this season, so it's so hard for me to place money on this.
I bet Michigan over, you bet Ohio State.
All season.
I mean, listen, if I can bet Michigan over wins, you can bet Ohio State to win the Big Ten. It's only fair.
I'm gonna sprinkle this a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna put a full unit on it. Screw it. Let's make it happen. I know we talked about the Big Ten West. I actually have 2 bets in the Big Ten West because I feel like this side is the most volatile in terms of, betting win totals, betting the winner. So I'm looking at Nebraska. I'm looking at their under win total. Right now, their win total is set at 7.5. Got it at even money, plus 100. For Scott Frost, you got to put up numbers or it's time to get him out of there. It's year 5 with him at the helm. The team is 15-29 with no winning seasons or bowl appearances during that time. They had a 3-9 record last year. I know they got a new offensive coordinator, Mark Whipple from Pitt. But why does a team that was 3-9 last season have a win total of 7.5? I know they lost all 9 games that they lost last season by single digits. Their total of 63 points. For example, Northwestern had a negative 149-point differential with the same record. But thinking they're going to jump from 3 to 8 wins, a 5-win jump, is too much for me. Casey Thompson from Texas is under center. The O-line isn't great. The wide receiver group is also pretty inexperienced, and the defense has some big holes in the D-line and the secondary. I look at their schedule. I know they could start the season 4-1, but then they close the season versus Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, at Iowa. I can see them being a 6-6 team, but getting to 8 wins, it's not going to be a 5-win improvement. So I feel pretty good about getting them under 7.5 at even money, plus 100 here. Now, how about this one? This is an outside pick. I feel pretty confident about it. But I feel like the winner of the Big Ten West is like up for grabs between 4 teams at this point. Purdue to win the Big Ten West at 6-1 odds, plus 600. They have the 4th best odds right now to win the Big Ten West behind Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Iowa. It's a good value for a team that's returning 15 starters and the division's best quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. Last year, he threw for 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, and he got second-team All-Big Ten honors. I think he might be one of the most underrated players in the country. Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, they all have big question marks at who's going to be starting under center for them at the beginning of the season. But you look at O'Connell. He comes back with an offense that finished second to Ohio State in the Big Ten last year. They also have 9 starters returning from defense, who is ranked 34th in scoring and 28th overall in 2021. If they can finish with a similar record, similar numbers, the offense is good enough to carry Purdue to the Big Ten championship game, in my opinion. They lost last year to Notre Dame, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio State. They need to get a couple wins against those teams. But plus 600 on them to win the Big Ten West is too good of a value for me not to take with the players that they have returning and with Aiden O'Connell under center. So I feel pretty good about it. I know it's an outside pick. I know people are like, oh, Wisconsin's going to win the Big Ten West. Iowa's a good pick for that too. But why not? 6-1 odds. It's a sprinkle. I only put a half unit on it. But why not test it out? Let's make it happen, baby. Lock it in.
Yeah.
Big Ten right around the corner.
I would look at, well, here's the thing. I mean, whenever you get going about your college football, vibes, I get my gears start turning because Purdue's win total's at 7. And they get that game, that Penn State game early week 1, tough game. Thursday at home though, but tough game. Then Indiana State, Syracuse, Florida Atlantic. I mean, you would think that they start 3-1, maybe 4-0.
Maybe 4-0. Yeah. See, look, we're copying each other.
I mean, listen, we've been doing this show now together for almost a year. It's almost our 1-year anniversary, by the way. I'll get you something nice. Don't worry. I can't forget about you on our 1-year anniversary, right? I think Minnesota, Maryland. I mean, listen, they play in the West, so they have the easier of the 2 schedules. Their games against the East, they don't have to face Ohio State. They don't have to face Michigan. So they avoid the top 2 teams in the East. I think, 7 seems like they're.
Yeah, like Nebraska's at 7.5.
Yeah, I would say 7's the floor for Purdue. So over 7, worst case is a push.
Worst comes to worst, you push. Yeah. Worst comes to worst, you push. So why not? Sprinkle it, baby.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, let's go to Pickswise.com, Jared. Best bet of the 3-star play. Who do we got?
Yeah, Mark Lammy's got afternoon affair. If you're interested, matinee. It's morning time here in Vegas. Mets, Reds. He's got a side in this game. We just mentioned Diane. She was on the show a little earlier ago, but if you missed that segment, please go to Pickswise. She not only has a 3-star outright on the site, but she also has a full write-up for all of the picks that she gave out a little bit earlier in the show. And if you're interested, it's a little early for that. We'll wait for EPL, but there is an EPL pick on the site for Saturday, Chris Rivers, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll save that for Thursday or Friday. Okay, save that.
Yeah,
we got a lot of 3-star plays. So make sure to go to Pickswise.com. Check it out. Time for our best bets of the day. I'm starting it out with Sandy Alcantara, over 6.5 strikeouts at plus money, plus 102. He continues to roll into what could be an NL Cy Young Award. 1.88 ERA, 0.93 whip after a complete game shutout of the Reds. He has extra rest coming into this game against the Phillies. He pitched to a 2.45 ERA and averaged 1 strikeout per inning against them during 3 starts this season. That's pretty good last time I checked. And he's held the Phillies to a slashing 174, 256, and 249 slash line during the 160 meetings in his career. He is really good against the Philadelphia Phillies, okay? He's pitched to a 1.98 ERA, 1.99 BAA, and 256 WOBA across 68 1/3 innings pitched on the road this year. I trust his stuff to strike these guys out. Over 6.5 and getting it at plus money, why not? This guy's been on a roll. Sandy Alcantara, you can't go against a guy like that. So give me over 6.5. Lock it in. You like a nerve.
Very favorable.
So you also
price.
like some good pitching here in the first inning.
I do. Very favorable price, too, on Alcantara at that 6.5. I mean, he's crushing it right now. He's probably going to be the Cy Young because Corbin Burns is having a really rough year, and there's really no one else that's going to reach out and grab that award. So what a year for Sandy Alcantara. All right, we're going back to the Nerfy well tonight. Didn't hit it at Coors last night. I'm sure it'll hit tonight. I mean, we've talked about the Nerfy at Coors. I still think it's a bet that you should consider every night, barring some kind of circumstance to go against it. It is popping on my sheet. But the biggest edge on the pitching matchup side of my sheet today is out in LA. Twins, Dodgers. Sonny Gray, 14-2 to the Nerfy this year, 6-1 on the road. And those numbers carry over to the bigger sample size as well. 65-19 since 2019. And he's 32-7 on the road during that stretch. That's over 82%. And again, that's a pretty big sample size dating back 3 seasons. He has over 80 starts to go by, and we're, in the above average, well above average range for his Nerfy rate. He is facing Ryan Pepiot tonight, who is a rookie making just his 5th start. He's one of the top pitching prospects in the Dodgers organization. 3rd-round pick from Butler's got great stuff, fastball, life.
Yeah.
And obviously, if he's making his 5th career start, he's a rookie. He's never faced anyone on the Twins before. So you know how I love betting on Nerfies when I get a pitcher that has the first look at a lineup. So that's what we have with Pepiot against the Twins tonight. Now, the Dodgers did score in the first last night, but it's just their 2nd time scoring in their last 9 games. So their offense has been a little stagnant early on. Meanwhile, the Twins, they have an above average scoring rate on the road this season at 35%, but Minnesota hasn't scored a first inning run in 12 consecutive games. Maybe they're due, but I think they are going to be held off the board by Pepiot tonight. I think Sonny Gray just has enough moxie to get through the top of this Dodgers lineup in the bottom of the 1st. And we get plus money odds here, plus 110 at DraftKings for Twins, Dodgers, Nerfy, trying to get back on the play of the day winning vibe tonight after losing, sadly. It was the only bet we lost last night. How about that? We gave out 4 picks yesterday plus a parlay. We hit everything except our play of the day.
Of course, that's how it always works, Jared. Don't we just know that's how the world works at this point?
Yes.
But it's okay. We're back on the horse today. Jump on it. Jump on it. Jump on the bets, baby. That's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Jabara. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.